what's the best thing for me to do in order to make an impact. Started off again in high school, went on to college, and then now after graduated from Dell State, went on to Memphis where I got my master's in sports administration, as well as another master's degree, which is in hospitality and resort management. So that was that was it for me, man. I didn't know where I was gonna go. All I knew was that you gotta just bet on yourself, figure it out. God is gonna order my steps. And it was moments I was scared. It was moments I didn't really know what to do. Right when I moved out to Memphis, bro, I didn't know anybody out there. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. People telling me first 48 is the hood, whatever. But I was like, bro,
I went out there, y'all. Memphis is a little turn. I was like, bruh, I'm glad you graduating this weekend.
That's a fact, bro. But like Manny, you know what I'm saying, my mentor, he was like, yo, if you can make it in Brooklyn, you can make it anywhere. And that kind of mindset, I took into every place I went. So that was my mindset in Memphis. That was my mindset. Spending the last 4 years in Ohio and Columbus specifically, working at Ohio State, which was always my dream. It's so crazy that, bro, I worked at every single place and been everywhere that it's been my dream. So growing up, Memphis football was one of the main programs that I watched because of the running back D'Angelo Williams, Coach Calipari era, Derrick Rose. So I know about Memphis. Boom, was able to get my degree from there, which is crazy. Then grew up a Ohio State fan, taking it back to Tegan Jr., Benny Wells, Troy Smith, you know what I'm saying, Ezekiel Elliott, Urban Meyer, and I was able to work there for 4 years, right? And then full circle, Dr. Williams, who was the president at Dell State, is now the CEO of Thurgood Marshall College Fund, where I now work. And we always heard about TMCF when we was at Dell State, being a Thurgood Marshall College Fund scholar. Now that's my full-time role. So by taking these necessary steps, by connecting and networking people, I've been able to land in my professional roles and just continue to pursue my dreams. Plus, on top of all of that, networking and meeting different people, I've been able to create my own podcast, which is Billionaire Lessons, and taking that information and knowledge to creating my own clothing brand, which is Billionaire Academy. So always busy, always grinding, trying to get to it, and then every day just trying to be my better self.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's thank you for sharing all that, bro. And with all of that you just shared, from the Memphis, Columbus, starting a business, expanding and sustaining your network, a lot of the things you just described just made me think about, risk taking. And I was going to ask you, what I kind of was thinking about earlier, but you kind of asked it, just thinking about coming from Brooklyn, coming from the city where they say if you can make it anywhere, concrete jungle. What does like risk taking mean to you? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like taking risks, like, because risk could come with fear and number of types of things, but you've been able to navigate in so many places and continue to be successful. Describe, like what does a risk mean to you? Like, how do you think about that? How do you approach it when you don't know how it's going to look, what it's going to turn out to be, all of that?
I would say two things, bro. Is one, being able to step outside of your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, growing up in New York is fast paced. A lot of times I watch people be on the same corner, kind of doing the same things, and I wanted to be able to step outside of my comfort zone. I didn't want it to be another statistic where I'm just figuring out, whether I'm getting a city job. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, that's how they sustain life, and that's good. But for me, I knew I wanted more. I know my mom worked her ass off for her kids to be able to have more, so I didn't want all the work that she did to go for granted. So I made sure, bro, I stepped outside my comfort zone. I got out of different places so I could get different exposure, because one of my people told me exposure leads to expansion. So when you expose yourself to different people, to different scenarios in different places, you're able to really expand yourself, not just expand yourself from a monetary standpoint, but really expand your mind, bro. I was in Memphis, like, yo, damn, I'm connecting with people from different cultures, their country, their homegrown, and I'm just learning their ways. And then going into Columbus, it's kind of a similar thing. They're really sports town. They love, like, bro, when you go anywhere in the country, people know Ohio people, because Ohio State, Cleveland Brown fans is wild as hell. They like Cowboy fans. You feel me? So it's really just stepping outside of comfort zone. And then another part of risk taking is I know it's easier said than done, but just living a life without fear.
Yeah.
Fear is really a construct.
It's false evidence that appears real.
That's a
fact. Hill Hopper.
That's a fact.
I read that as a youngin', like, nah, and I always kept it in my mind.
Nah, that's a fact, bro. And just step outside of that fear, man. Like growing up, bro, like I was afraid of a lot of shit.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to say, you just mentioned something about you said exposure leads to expansion.
That's a fact.
So coming out of the concrete jungle, coming from Canarsie, Brooklyn, those who are listening, you know, you've been in Brooklyn or you know about Canarsie, there's a lot that's going on there. So just talk about how your HBCU, you know, going away to college, that type of exposure, like what did that do for you coming out of New York, coming out of Brooklyn, just probably knowing New York City, you know, and trying to, like you just mentioned, you know, getting out your comfort zone. So of course, going from New York to Delaware, that's a hell of a, you know, transition comfort zone. So what did that exposure do for you, you know, going to college?
You know what's crazy, bro? Specifically going to HBCU, right? So a lot of my times growing up, my ties to African American people, to Black people, were mostly tied to entertainment and sports. And most of my Black friends, you know what I'm saying, that we all were friends because of playing sports or something.